Today I've been speaking to Ro, who is super passionate about fitness for women. Now, not all my episodes are going to be just for women, but this particular one is pretty women-centric. Ro has an app for women to help them with fitness, to help them with mindset, nutrition, all sorts of things. And in this episode, we talk about her journey, why she went into helping people with exercise. It's really interesting. She was someone who didn't actually like exercise to start with. So if you're in that camp, I think this might be interesting for you to hear. And yeah, lots of things. Talk a little bit about nutrition, lots about mindset, a little bit about how neither of us is a big fan of the emphasis on weight loss. So we don't emphasize that. We actually emphasize health, movement, longevity, and all those sorts of things. So definitely one to listen to. I really hope you'll enjoy this episode. Before I get to it, just a little reminder, please like and subscribe to the podcast. That will really help me to grow and reach more people. So without further ado, here is the podcast with Ro. So for our listeners, I'd like to start straight away into the deep end. In your experience, what is your advice for people who think life is too busy, too chaotic, too messy, and they are just not able to fit fitness into their lives? What's your key advice for them?
Well, I think the first thing that I would say is that things have to work with your life, not against them. So I think what I see so many women trying to do, I don't know, 50-minute, hour-long workouts when they've only got 10, 20 minutes, or just trying to do types of exercise because they've heard that they're good for them, but they don't enjoy them. If you're going to take time away from your busy life, the first thing is you've got to enjoy it. It's got to be, with an instructor that you connect with a type of movement that you enjoy. And I think what we just try and do is it's trying to fit that round, peg, square hole kind of situation. And actually, I think you just got to give yourself grace that every single person can have a different fitness formula, well-being formula, right? It's like no single person is walking in your shoes other than you. You know your life better than anybody else. So I think that's really, really important, is forget the shoulds. Like, I had so many women just say, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And I just say absolute bullshit.
BS to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I love the fact you started with it doesn't have to be an hour. Like some people think like, oh, it's got to be a 50-minute workout or a half an hour. Even just the thought of it's got to be that long will just stop them even starting.
I mean, that's actually like what I've been really trying to drill home this week, because everyone's got kids on half term and stuff. I'm like, it takes 10 minutes. It could be a kitchen disco. It does not need to be formal types of exercise for it to be movement that can just, emotions are stuck in motion. So the moment that you start moving your body, then it gets you that kind of unstuck is what we want, really. So when you get stuck, it's because you're overwhelmed. And so it can literally just be like shaking your body can sometimes be enough to get yourself just out of that overwhelm.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. And it sounds like so kitchen disco sounds like you like music. Is that what you use to motivate yourself?
My music, my playlists are what I pride myself on probably the most as a PT.
Oh,
because I actually really feel that it has to match what you're doing. So like quite often, so if I'm teaching something like, I don't know, like a sweaty Pilates class, then we do like 90s. It will be like a Natalie Imbruglia, or like chilled, sometimes it's like Simply Red, really, really cheesy. But then if we're doing like a dance party, you've got like your Beyoncés and your Lizzos and all of that kind of stuff. Or when we've got doing kickboxing, it's drum and bass. And I actually think like the power of music is insane in terms of the way that you feel about a workout. So I think that's really, really important.
Oh, absolutely. It's not entirely related, but currently I'm at home with a 4-month-old baby, not doing a huge amount of exercise, I must admit. But when I need to shake myself mentally out of a bit of a uninspired zone,
Yeah.
I've just been putting on Spice Girls. Just
Yes.
like,
I mean, Spice Girls is like the winner every time, isn't it?
yeah,
I could put on Wannabe and that and
yep,
literally that's it. I'm like, my mood has shifted. It's so true. And
yeah.
also, like, a 4-month-old, like, I wasn't even thinking about exercise at that point when mine were 4 months old. So yeah, definitely give yourself some grace. I think just putting on some
Yeah.
music is great.
I think the exercise snacks is what I'm doing at the moment.
Yes.
Like literally just 10 squats and
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah.
Like
Great.
put baby down on the blanket for a moment, do 10 squats and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so your key things are the shoulds, get rid of the shoulds, pick maybe music that really gets you going, and pick a movement type that you like, and it can fit into the tiniest spaces of
Yeah,
time.
and I think the other thing is that I think it's interesting because sometimes maybe if you're like an A-type personality, or you like order a lot or things like that, then it can be quite difficult, this idea of like shoehorning in workouts rather than sticking to a routine. And sometimes when your routine gets put out of place, it can really, really throw you. But there's this phrase that I really like, that within well-being, you can either be a baker or a cook. And if you're a baker, you like things specific, right? You really like your order. You know what you're doing. You follow a program, all of those things. And it has to be kind of, you've got your clothes laid out, all of those things. Or you're a cook. And in life, I'm a cook. I'm chaotic and I do shoehorn things in. And my life is not, it doesn't play ball at all and things like that. But when you are when you are starting to work out, I do think having that flexibility, especially like with your well-being and things like that, to just go, am I just being a bit of a baker? Because sometimes
As in you're trying to be too perfect, being a
trying to
baker.
be too perfect,
Yeah.
trying to mold things, all of those things. And it does my life fit being a baker right now? Like,
Yeah.
do I need
Or you want to be a cook, you sprinkle in some squats
yeah,
here,
exactly.
sprinkle in some
Get those
kitchen
exercise
disco
snacks
there.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, I
All
love
of
it.
that stuff. And I think it is just really important about recognizing when sometimes you're standing in your own way. Like, it's not meant in a harsh way, but I do see a lot of the women who come into my world, and you have to sometimes look yourself in the mirror and go, am I standing in my own way here? And stuff. And do I just need to be a little bit more flexible? And does that one time that I really wanted to do that exercise, and then, I don't know, I got a sick kid or a work drama or something like that, one of those curveballs came, does that mean that the rest of the week is like written off? Like, I'd seen a brilliant reel about this, like a girl got, when you're doing your mascara and you get a little splodge under your eye, and then she just actually took the mascara one, and she drew black mascara all over her face, and she said, this is what it is like when you're saying, oh, I missed that workout, now therefore the rest of the week is,
I've fallen off the wagon.
I've fallen off the wagon.
Everything's
Yeah.
ruined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no wagon. Nothing to fall off.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's and I think understanding that it's not going to be linear at any point is really, really important, because the moment that we get our heads around that, like, I've had, even in being a personal trainer over 5 years, the number of months, literally months in a row, that I've not been able to exercise for various reasons. And it's my job. And so, if I can't have a linear journey, and I can't have a linear journey anyway, because I'm a woman and I have hormones.
Yes. Yeah, we're at least monthly cycling, and probably cycling in other ways with different seasons in our life. Like for me, I have a baby, so everything is kind of on pause, and then later on I'll have a more productive phase. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not linear. Yeah. So, okay. Great advice. Tell us a bit more about yourself. What's your backstory? Have you gone through any kind of maybe struggles or a journey that then has motivated you to do what you do now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not somebody I wouldn't say I'm a natural lover of exercise. I was definitely a person who used to hide in the changing rooms at PE and stuff. I just couldn't really be bothered. And but yeah, so I was not somebody who naturally exercised, but I was 22 when I had my twins, which was a bit of a shock.
Wow. Yeah.
I was at university, my final year, And then I found out that I was pregnant with twins and I was going to be a single mum. So that was a lot to take on board. I had a really hard pregnancy, like really hard, even though I was very fit and really young. I had where I can't actually remember they call it SPD, where your pelvis basically separates. So I couldn't
like
walk,
really
and
bad
I
hip
was
pain.
In a lot of pain, and was living in a chair for many a month, and then eventually had preeclampsia, which went into eclampsia. So it was all quite traumatic. But I had the boys, kind of struggled in those early days a lot. I was single parent to twins. I was young. It was a lot. But sort of had hope on the horizon as they were sort of getting to the end of the first year. But then one of the twins was diagnosed at 18 months after not starting to walk. He was diagnosed with something called spinal muscular atrophy, and that is a neurological condition. And his prognosis was that he would have 2 to 3 years to live. So it was an incredibly challenging time. And I was really low, to be honest, for a really long time. But I was like kind of quite classic, like a lot of women, because sort of seemingly okay from the outside. I don't think anyone was particularly worried about me, but I knew on the inside that I had that real sensation of just feeling like I was just drowning. It was just an incredibly low time. And so I did a lot of numbing with kind of, just wine every night when I was putting them to bed to kind of keep my nerves. And then I was on a lot of antidepressants, and nothing wrong with antidepressants, but I was definitely not on the right mix. I was just very numb. And so I was in a real sort of hole. And then I met someone in the local village who she was attending a boot camp locally. And she and I, sat having wine with her one night. And it was the first time I think I've really opened up and gone, I just feel like I don't know who I am anymore. I really opened up to her. And she just said, look, just come along to this boot camp with me. And I kind of like laughed. And I was like, I love that, like the only motive in the world that I was like, oh, well, if I lose some weight, then I'll feel good about myself again. And that will cheer me up. That was kind of the only motive that I would ever, have to go. But I did really feel like my boys deserved more from me. They were like they were kind of probably 3 at that point. And I'd gone for a year and a half of just kind of trying to survive this diagnosis for Alfie, and been in hospital and intensive care a lot with him and stuff. And I had no idea what our future looked like. So I went along to the boot camp, and it was not surprising that I absolutely hated it. I was like, this is awful. Why would you make me go here? And she just said, the thing is that she just said, I just need you to just trust me. Just keep going. And again, like in my head, like I'm thinking, oh, well, if I get in shape, I'll feel good and things. And now I look back, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Because I was never out of shape. It's just in our heads. But anyway, it was really surprising what happened to me. I just found that every single time I went to this boot camp, I would just sit in the car afterwards and just wail, like just cry and cry and cry. And I couldn't cry like outside any other time, but it just released something in me. And I just felt like there was some sort of part of me it was in there, and it was like screaming to get out. And so I just kept going and kept going. And, I was lucky that I was getting support to go, because, my family could see that it was helping in a way.
So they were looking after the boys so you could go to exercise.
They were looking after the boys so that I could go, because it really wasn't, home exercise wasn't really a big thing then and stuff. So so I kept going, and it really, I remember, and this is what I always say to the women who come in to my world, I always say, like, you've got to hold on, because there is a moment. You can think that you hate exercise, but until you have actually stuck at it for at least 10 workouts in a row, really, you can't say that, because something shifts at that point. It really does. And I actually started enjoying it, and it started changing my life in just small monumental ways. Like I remember after one class, like going into Sainsbury's to go and get some food, and always having that like Dorothy click of her heels, like just feeling like I had this spark, and it was like starting back up inside me. And it was just so exciting, like to be in that position again. And so it really helped me bring me back to me. And
Amazing.
that's something I'm so passionate about, is that I really believe that that's what movement has the power to do.
Yes.
And then I had a big twist in the story. So that I was exercising and that was all good, and I was running a business and things. And then the boys' dad, who had never met them at that point, came back into their lives. And we fell in love,
That's just amazing.
which I was determined not to. And my friends were like, "Don't you dare!" But
I love
but,
it.
He's a wonderful man. It's just that we were very young when it all
Super
happened.
young.
Yeah, so young.
Yeah.
And so we then went on to get married, and we had and Alfie was doing well. He has been in hospital a lot, but there was this drug on the horizon for spinal muscular atrophy. So it was just a case of really just trying to keep him well. So he was wheelchair bound and things, and it was really challenging at the time, but it was just all about keeping him here and keeping him well, because with spinal muscular atrophy they have no muscles, so the muscle around the chest means that when he gets a cold it goes into pneumonia quite a lot. So he's in hospital with pneumonia a lot, and that's the biggest risk to him. But we got married and went on to have another child. So we've got Freddie, who is 6. And when I had Freddie, I expected things to be easier. Like, I don't know, I was probably quite naive, but I thought,
been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
It was like, I was like, I was single parenting and it was twins. This is just one and I've got a partner, but it wasn't one. It was 3, with one of those being very, very disabled. So I would be literally like hoisting Alfie into his chair and breastfeeding Freddie at the same time. And like, it was just madness. It was total madness. And Freddie got sepsis when he was 3 months old. So that was really hard because it actually triggered a lot of trauma within me, which I didn't kind of know was there. And I went into what now I can understand was definitely postnatal depression. But at that time, it was just so different this time, feeling that way, because I kind of knew the roadmap to get out. I knew that when I exercised, I knew when I took care of myself, fueled myself properly, exercised, that I felt better in my head. And this time it wasn't even, even though I just had a baby and my body had changed, it was not about that. It was about finding, I was like, I know that I need to do this for me to find myself again.
For like your mental well-being, for your identity. Yeah,
absolutely. And so I started going again to a class and going regularly. And the same thing happened, and it was just amazing. It was like just this like cape of anxiety and overwhelm just literally lifting off me. And that feeling, that difference between that heaviness and that lightness. And at that point, I was like, why the hell do not more women know about this? Like, this is insane. Why does the message have to be around exercise and weight loss? Why can it not be, do this for your well-being? Like, that just, like, I was like, what is wrong with the fitness industry? Like, why?
The focus on weight loss.
Always. It's always the message, because it sells. It sells. That's the truth. And so I was really determined at that point that I wanted to become a personal trainer, and I felt that it would really suit my skill set and also my life, because actually, like, all the jobs that I had done where I'd been employed, it was impossible because of having Alfie and the hospital appointments and the hospital stays. It was just so difficult trying to work for somebody else. So I trained to become a personal trainer. And at that point, I was working for about a year, and I'd built up the most amazing clients, and it was going so well. And then, of course, we went into lockdown. But it was the best thing that could have happened to me, not to anybody else, as in it was a dreadful, dreadful time. But it was so interesting having my eyes open to the online space, because I had written that off 100%. It's so interesting how we can just go, like, have these ideas about things, and then we're stuck in our own minds. And I was like, well, am I standing in my own way here? Because actually, like, working online is, well, firstly, it's all that is available right now, and secondly, it's actually an incredible opportunity to work with lots of women at the same time and have an impact, because I always had to, like, it was amazing that after a year, like I had wait lists on my PT spots and on my classes, and I was like, how can I work with more women? And then suddenly it was like, well, this is an opportunity to work with as many women as possible. And I was really at that point, like, I really want to have an impact. So so that was actually really exciting. I started doing Zooms every single day at lunchtime, and then created an online membership. And and it was amazing that basically what happened within it, it was that we had that second lockdown that was in the one that was in January, and it was so bleak, like so bleak.
It wasn't
And
summer anymore.
oh my God. Yeah.
Yes.
The first one was dreamy. Like we were all going for walks, and it was so nice. And it was weird because we didn't see a soul because Alfie was so vulnerable. So we would even like have the food delivered, and then we'd have to leave it for 3 days to like decontaminate. And then so we didn't see any family, no friends. We were so isolated. So for me to have this space where I was connecting online with people was firstly really important. But then the second one, when we did that second one and people were like homeschooling, and it was January and it was so bleak, and what I noticed was that people's mental health was really, really suffering. And so my mum is a psychotherapist, so I got her onto the membership, and she came on to speak to these women. And I just remember like speaking to her afterwards. Again, I couldn't even like see her. We were like on Zoom after everyone had gone off it. And she just said, you're onto something here. This is magical. Like, look at this community of women. Like, this is incredible. And so I really went for it. And I changed it from being about me. I didn't want it to be me. So it was Ro PT membership, but I wanted it to be about women's well-being rather than just exercise.
Yeah,
so that's when it became
package.
Yeah, the whole package, because the thing that I got really excited about with online is that I could buy one resource and everybody could benefit from it. That was really exciting about having a platform. So that's why then I created the She Collective, which is She for strong, happy and empowered, because that's what I wanted women to feel. And the idea was that they would have a variety of movements, so not just weighted stuff, but also Pilates, yoga, bar, all of those things, but then also breath work and meditations and nutrition and all of these things, because I think that actually one of the things that is so overlooked with women who are busy, who have children, who maybe don't have children, but have busy lives, is that their nervous systems are just shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a long answer, but that's kind of
okay. That's the whole journey.
Yeah. How it came about. It's not it wasn't just I'll just become a PT.
I'm just gonna do this thing. Yeah. No, I love that your journey, it includes kind of the journey of having children as well, and the change in life, the postnatal depression. I mean, I don't love that happened for you, obviously.
Yeah, but we learn so much, don't we?
We all go through it, and I can really relate. Kind of going through 2 babies, second one at the moment. I know, like, and even my husband knows. I plan it in, like, okay, Saturday morning, I'm going for a jog.
Yeah.
And even Michael says, like, we work around it, because he's like, I know it's so important for your mental health.
Yeah.
Like, you're a better person if you've gone for your jog.
Yeah.
So I get that.
And it's same with my husband. We just have to like, and he is the same. So he has CrossFit, and I'm just literally like, have you been to CrossFit? When he's like,
I think you should go to CrossFit.
No,
please, for everyone's sake.
It's like his exercise, it's like he goes and it's like 2 hours out the door. He's going to class and stuff. Like the other reason that I have just like fallen in love with online exercise is like 30 minutes done.
Yeah.
Or like go for a run or like something like that. It's just so efficient. Like that
I love the efficiency.
Love about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, and imagine someone who's like working, if it's not thinking about the children's situation, more if you're working from home, you could just log off for your lunch break, smash out 30 minutes.
Exactly.
Maybe have a bit of food as well, and then go back to your work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's funny even here because it's the smallest bit of my work is actually filming the workouts. Like, it's like running a business.
Oh, and so the advertising.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I do. I literally like nip up, film, and then I'm like, eat my lunch, and that's my lunch break. But it's shoehorning it in a way that it's worked with my life. And so I'm not seeing it as this huge big obstacle, because I think particularly as well, like, you know, in the winter and stuff, you're like, oh my god, I've got to drive there, I've got to park, I've got to, you know,
Yeah.
and I think if you can have, I actually am really passionate though about don't put yourself in a box, because it, like, I think what's sad is that people have to say, oh, I'm not somebody who does home exercise, or I am somebody who only goes to the gym. And I think it's great if you can just like there's so much flexibility now with these things. If you can have a little bit of a pick and mix, that's great.
That's great for the body as well. If you do a little
Yes,
bit of weight training,
absolutely.
a little bit of cardio, a little bit of yoga, a little bit of whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
There's
I've just
one.
started running again, and I couldn't get over when I started. Like when I go up a hill, I'm like, oh my god! And it's because I've got so into weight training, which I love, but with the strength training, I don't get my heart rate up that much. And so do think it's important. Like we've now gone so far, I think, within like health and well-being, to be like, this is what women need, or this is what people need. It's like, and you're right, it's like actually your body benefits from a bit of everything.
Yeah. And maybe not even going too extreme in one thing. Like if you do CrossFit to the extreme, you probably get injured. Or if you do running to the extreme, you'd probably get injured. Even yoga to the extreme, you get injured.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's another thing you mentioned earlier on in your story, and I loved it because it's something I think about motivating people with my stuff, that you have to try something at least 10 times.
Yes.
Because so many people try an exercise and then they say, oh, but I was so rubbish, and the next day I hurt so much. I hate it. And I'm like, yeah, well, obviously that's going to happen. Like, it's new.
Yeah. I think the moment that you go, look, the beginning bit is really hard. Like,
it's not going to feel nice. You're not going to enjoy it, but stick with it.
Be transparent about that. It's so much better.
I know.
Otherwise, you feel like you're the failure. Yeah. And I think that's what's really difficult. And I think it goes with anything. It's like one of the biggest changes that I really try and get women to make is about this thing of not having caffeine on an empty stomach and first thing in the morning, because, you know, you're waking up, your cortisol levels are at the highest, and then you're whacking a bit of caffeine on top, and it's like, no wonder everyone like in the morning feels that like mega stress. And some of the women, like when I'm suggesting it to them, they're literally like, oh my god, no way, couldn't do it. And then like they'll be like, oh, I tried for like 3 or 4 days, and I'm like, but if you could just get to that 6th, 7th day, it's like the difference between what my mornings used to look like in terms of snapping at the kids and rushing out the door. And I honestly think it's made such a difference. But
okay, so you think not having caffeine on an empty stomach has been really useful?
I mean, hormonally, it's just it's really important. And the other thing, it's not just about the cortisol. It's also the fact that when you wake up, there is a natural hormone, and now I'm going to kick myself because I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's called adenosine, but basically you wake up and it's the hormone that is responsible for you feeling groggy. So when you wake up and you feel that grogginess, and then that's why people go for caffeine. But what's happening is that it's not natural the way that you're expelling it from your body. So you're falsely removing that grogginess, that hormone from your body, hormone chemical from your body.
I think you're like blocking it, aren't you? You're not removing it. You're like blocking its action with caffeine.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that.
But what happens, what's so interesting is that is why then you're craving those sweet treats and caffeine throughout the day, because you're craving that same reaction. And so this is why we so many of us get brain fog. And so many women who again have done the thing of not and waiting and having, you can have caffeine in the morning, but waiting 45 minutes, an hour, having it with a protein rich breakfast, it's just setting yourself up for success. It's just small things that can just make the world of difference. And I really do think, like, when it comes to nutrition, I always say to people, like, the first thing you could do is just take care of the bookends of your day. So you've got the beginning of your day and the end of your day. And if you can just look at those two, then the bits in the middle start to fall into place. Because I think with busy women, if you go, okay, right, now you're going to overhaul your whole life, it just doesn't work. Or saying, no, you can't have sugar. It doesn't work.
The
But if you
whole
say,
day. Yes.
we're not
Yes.
going to take away sugar, we're just going to increase the protein, then naturally those cravings for sugar are going to deplete. And so I
Yeah.
think looking at what you can do more of rather than less of is really, it's kind of more positive, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you are a PT.
Mm-hmm.
Do you work only with women or men as well? Or have you worked with
All
men in the
women.
past? All women. Okay.
All
From
women, yeah. I found that I really wanted to have like a niche. It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
just women. They tend to be women, particularly aged between 35 and 55. That
yeah.
a lot of them are mums, but not all. Um,
They're just all
I keep
busy,
using the word
crazy.
busy because
Yes.
they are. That's the reality. They are. They're juggling plates, spinning plates,
And letting them
juggling
go
balls,
sometimes. They're
all of
letting a few
it.
plates crash.
And
Yes.
I'm also trained as a mindset coach as well, and that was because in the process of creating my membership, what happened was that I just saw so many, and I really understand it. It's like when women start exercising, what happens is that finally we can get into our groove, we start going, we're doing well and stuff. And then it is just this thing of natural curveballs, like with life. It's just like, that they would get like a sick kid or they would get work drama and suddenly they'd be completely thrown off track. And so
Yeah.
when you do that mindset work, I think that really does change the game. It reframes the journey and you understand that it's not this all or nothing. And you really do start to learn how to not slip into self-sabotage. And that was one of the biggest things that I was seeing with the women that I was working with,
Mm.
was this whole cycles of self-sabotage. And so
Yeah.
that was really important.
And so what does self-sabotage look like? What were you
So it
seeing?
can look like okay. So for an example with nutrition, it would be that you're starting to fuel your body better, you're feeling good, and then you're standing in the kitchen and there's something has happened and it's really stressful, and you're like nose diving into the biscuit bin at 4 p.m., knowing
Yeah.
full well you're going to get a hit and then you're going to feel terrible in an hour later. Or you're opening a bottle of wine at 6 and then you're not stopping at the one glass, and then because you've had the wine that the night before, then the next day you're having the fry up and it's kind of like
Yeah.
you again, it's this thing of getting in your own way. And it's really it's nothing I judge because I've done it a million times, but it is so peaceful when you can break that cycle,
Yeah.
because otherwise it does feel like you are not your own best friend, and we've got to live in our own minds and bodies. And that's really important, that we are kind of there giving ourselves that like pat on the back, that hand on the back, that support when we need it, rather than getting kind of
Yeah.
the other way that we can do it is in exercise. It's like saying, okay, I was going for a run, well, it's raining now, so that's it, it's done. And
Yeah.
so it's
And
that,
like
again, all or nothing. It's like, well,
and then kind of the next time you was going to go for a run, you then don't think, oh no, but I missed that run, so I'm now off
yes,
the running bandwagon.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And when we can understand that actually it's all those cumulative little 1% that we put in, it's not about the run here on that, whatever, it all works together. And actually it has all got to work together, as in you can't just be exercising but fueling your body in a way that makes you feel like crap and then feel great, or you can't be doing those two without working on your mindset, because then every time life doesn't play ball, then you're again just
Yeah.
throwing in the towel. And again, you could be doing all of that stuff, but if you're not taking care of your nervous system, then your body is in flight or fright. And so therefore it's so scared to make any changes that you're putting in all of this work and you're not seeing or feeling the difference. And so that's
Yeah.
why I'm like really passionate about the core four. And I
Yeah.
think that women have to, I'm not saying like you have
So the
to
core four
overhaul.
is nerve system. Is that one of them?
So the core four is exercise, nutrition, mindset, and nervous system. And if you
Yes.
can get the four working in conjunction with one another, that is where women's well-being really thrives. And
Yeah.
that's where, that's my approach to women's well-being, really, rather than
Yeah.
just
one thing.
exercise. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, and I'm so passionate about the nervous system side as well. Clearly, coming from the yoga background,
Yes.
it's all about that really. And I think even doing strenuous exercise, if you are in a fight or flight state, it probably is more stressful for the
Oh,
body. Whereas if you
100%.
are
And I
nervous
learned it
system
the hard
regulated,
way. It was really, I feel a lot of guilt about this, but I just had to learn this, that, I used to give everyone the first workout of the week used to be a HIIT workout. And I feel so much guilt about that because I look at it now.
you're like, on a Monday, everyone's stressed already.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sake, it was just basically, it's because particularly when Alfie was in hospital, something like that, I used to find that, I'm sure that anybody who exercises understands this, that when you do a really, really hard workout, right, there can be this moment and you're lying on the floor and you're sweaty and the endorphins are filling you up and you feel like you can take on the world. And and that is an amazing feeling, but it's an addictive feeling and it's not necessarily doing the right thing, because when you have a high impact life and a high intensity life, and then you layer high impact, high intensity workouts, and you're not doing that other stuff to settle your nervous system, that's a recipe for disaster. And I learned this the hard way, because that was all I used to do until I couldn't, because I slipped 2 discs in my neck exactly 2 years ago. And it was they call them the trauma discs. And it was because I was holding all of the trauma from nights of intensive care, from all of these things that had happened with Alfie. And I was holding them all in my body. And then I was layering and impacting all this stress and this exercise on top of it. And then they just gave way. And it's not surprising. And so, unfortunately, it was another lesson learned the hard way.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry to hear that. That's tough.
And it's been 2 years of recovery, and I still get really, really bad days with it. But I now know the importance of the nervous system, and I don't think I quite got it before.
Yeah. Another way it can impact women, if you've got the high impact, stressful life anyway, and you do all the exercise you do is like HIIT sessions or long distance, really hard running, it can just dysregulate your menstrual cycle, can't it?
Yeah.
So because all the hormones will just get lower and lower, and you'll miss your periods.
I mean, every decision that I make in terms of whatever I create is always about putting your hormones at the forefront, because hormonally, if you are not looking after your hormones, then everything else is off, right? And so that is something that's where, like, again, like putting, the strength training, but then also eating in a way that is like complementing that. So lots of fresh food, but also lots of protein and
enough calories, perhaps.
And
is that
enough
what you talk
calories,
about? Yes.
And enough calories, yes, and enough fuel, and actually, just all of these things are just so important, because if hormonally you are healthy, then your energy levels are so different, and we have lives that we need a lot of energy for, and so that's really important.
Yeah. I love hearing that. You seem to have the right approach with the nutrition. It's healthy, but it's not like, we're only aiming to restrict and get thinner
I
and
don't
thinner.
believe in restriction at all.
Yeah,
no. And also the thing is, right, I always say to somebody who's got, again, the mindset stuff around nutrition, right? If they go out and they're going out with a friend and they're asking me, what should I do? Because everyone's going to be eating pizza. I would be like, eat the damn pizza. Like,
eat and enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Like, I don't believe in restriction at all. And I actually think the more that we label things good and bad, that's where you get into really dangerous habits. So a lot of the women that come through into my world have got a lot of history with toxic diet culture. And I have too. So it's something I am so passionate about. So in our communities, like weight chat is actually banned. It's like, it's not allowed, because it's so triggering for so many women. And the moment that we attach our worth to our weight, that is when we destroy the journey. That is when it takes all of the glitter, all of the sparkle out of the journey, because it is so depressing. Because you think about it, it's like the moment that you're due your period, you could step on the scales and it's gone up. The moment that you've gone out and had a big weekend and had some salty food, you're having water retention. It does not reflect where you are at in your journey. And so those things about, of course I understand like aesthetics do matter to women, and they want, I want women to feel confident, but think about like how your clothes feel, how your body feels moving, like all of these things, how are your energy levels, how is your sex drive, like all of these things. These are the things that matter. And so like I'm just like, I'm on a mission to get scales out of everyone's houses, honestly.
I love that. I love that. Amen. Preach.
Yeah, I get
That's
so
great.
passionate about it.
That is fantastic. And I mean, I think, and the two aren't mutually exclusive. You can be healthy and not care too much about weight, or not care at all. Like, because you can still eat lots of healthy foods, and that will like naturally make your appetite in a, kind of control it in a healthy way. You won't feel like you need to binge on the biscuits because you've had loads of wholesome food.
Yeah,
so it's
and
like they're not
you think about like two foods, they're so, when you compare them, when you narrow it down to something like calories or even protein, right? You think about a pepperoni, right? As in like those like highly processed plastic sausages. Or
I had a craving for those when I was pregnant.
Oh, I mean, I love one. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're delicious. Let's not, but that is going to have a very different effect if you were only eating things like that and calling that your protein, as opposed to having, I don't know, nuts and seeds and eggs and or whatever it might be,
and just like unprocessed meat
and all of these things, like, that's going to be very, very different. Or for example, with calories, like a biscuit or a slice of apple with some peanut butter, the slice of apple with peanut butter, way more calorific, but that is going to keep you fuller for longer. It's going to stop your cravings. It's going to help with your hormones, all of these things. So actually it's really, really important to not think about it in terms of metrics all the time.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's good. Very good. But let's move beyond the nutrition just for the moment.
Yeah.
I was curious. We talked a lot about your background, the journey you've been through. If you could go back in time and give yourself some advice to like a time when you were maybe most overwhelmed and not really in balance with like work-life balance, exercise, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
So the first thing that I would say is that I would say you don't do it alone, because I think that so much of life is lonely. And I think that when we are thinking about making a change in our lives, so we're often like, we're standing there and we're looking up at the mountain and it feels so daunting and we're like, how do I get up there? And so there's two things that you can do to get up that mountain. The first thing is let somebody give you the roadmap. So that's where I really do think that when you're right at the beginning of the journey, joining a program, a challenge, or whatever it might be, a group or something, then that's where it can be really helpful. That's your roadmap. But then the other thing is that you need some help, as in I'm so passionate about community. Like that is like in the core of everything I do. And so being part of a community of people who are at a similar point in their journey, I think is really nice. Having somebody lead you, but just feeling like you've got that camaraderie is really powerful. And the other thing is just start small, like really like those small steps. Like the reason, again, like I was saying about getting to that 10th workout, is that all of these things that you are doing at the beginning, you feel like what people get sad about is because they feel like they get stuck in this thing, they call it the valley of disappointment, because because you're putting in the work but you've not felt the effects. And that can happen with anything in life, right?
Yes, you kind of plateau.
Recently about how I felt like almost trying to get this, like, membership, like momentum. It feels like pushing a jumbo jet down a like runway. And that's how can it feel with your health. Like you're putting in the work. But if you keep going, you get to that takeoff point. And I think that is just can be 10 minutes of this, or, making sure that you're prepped for the morning or whatever it might be, but really setting yourself up for success. So making sure that you do have that roadmap, making sure that you've got those clothes laid out, like just doing those actions. If you can't do it for you, do it for your future self. That's what I always do. I'm like, I really can't be bothered today, but I'm going to do it for her because
I love that. If you think about maybe your 80-year-old self,
oh yeah,
how
yeah.
do you see yourself when you're 80? Do you want to be immobile, or do you want
Yeah.
to be fit and able to walk really well and play
That's
with your
why
grandchildren?
I do Granny Ro reels, because I dress up as a
Oh, you
granny.
do?
Yeah, I dress up as a granny and I put a granny wig on and I go to parks and I go to supermarkets or whatever it might be, and I show the things that Granny Ro is going to be able to do. And I'm really, really, determined that I'm going to be able to do those things because I'm doing it so that I can do it when I am 80. And on that week 3, when I know that people hit week 3 wobbles, it's a thing. Like when you're in a journey, you get to week 3 and everyone just goes, oh. And so at that point, I always send this video of this woman, Kerry, who's been a member of mine for like 5 years, because she's 65 and she does in this video, she's like, you see, I'm in a bath. Well, imagine if I couldn't get out.
I love it.
She's just brilliant. And that's the message. It's like, if you can't do it for yourself now, do it for your older self, because I'm sure you want to be able to get off the floor, play with your grandchildren, have independence, not be reliable on other people.
Absolutely. And it's
longevity.
so true. My background is in sports science, and there's so much research showing the incredible benefit for older adults for like even doing exercise when you're already older, but the cumulative benefit throughout life if you keep on having that muscle mass, building it early on. And it's just great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you'll be a very fit 80-year-old.
I really
I hope we're still in touch then. That would be amazing. We're like,
together. I'm really determined. I'm going to be,
Same. I always think of myself. I'm like, I want to be doing yoga and headstands when I'm 80.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, yoga that is longevity, isn't it? I mean, you've got to think like that.
I think so. If you do it, if you do it in a mindful way, in the way that's good for your body, like you don't have to go crazy on the flexibility stuff.
Yeah.
But like, doing it like in a way that really de-stresses but keeps you strong and mobile and
Well, and like you say, it's like doing everything, because I think what's really interesting is when I did my friend Sadie's yoga class, I was so humbled. I was like, oh, okay, I cannot do any of this. And it really like opened my eyes to what I could do with doing more of, and it is true. Like, let's not put ourselves into boxes. Like, we don't need to say we just do one thing and stuff, because it just showed me how much mobility stuff I need to do.
But the good thing about you is that would motivate you. And I think the issue with a lot of people, they might go to a yoga class and they go, oh, I'm really bad at this. I never want to do it again. It's like, no.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Actually, that means you might need a little bit more in your life.
Yes.
Yeah. And the same with strength, and the same with other stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the mindset of exactly. Like when people pick up a 3 kg dumbbell and they go, oh no, I'm clearly really weak. It's like, well, okay, that's
that means you've got to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of our last questions I think I know your answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Does anything really annoy you about the health and fitness world?
Yeah. I mean, I actually think I quite like the fact that I'm starting to be seen as a bit of a rebel with it.
Ooh, yes.
I was a bit of a rebel as a teenager, so I'm all right with that. I sit comfortably in that. But I do a lot. A lot of my messaging is watch out, fitness industry. We're here to break the mold.
Ooh.
And that is about the fact that I am so over women being sold to about it being the motive should be weight loss, like your why being weight loss. That is not going to get you to the mat on the days where you are exhausted by life. That is not going to keep you moving into your 80s. That takes away all of the joy, all of the sparkle out of the journey. And I think I am so sad and angry to see this whole Ozempic thing going on, weight loss injections. Some of my favorite women now, getting on there and condoning this, like as in influencers and stuff. But there are so many women, I think, fighting for the other side and for, doing it for all those other reasons and
Yeah.
making it a joyful experience.
Yeah.
But I've had quite a lot of business coaching, and I think what is really interesting is that every time they turn to me and they say, if you could just start talking about weight loss, we really think your sales will go up.
Oh.
And it just makes me so sad. And
Yeah.
even my husband has dared to say it, because in January it felt like we weren't even getting a look in, because even somebody who I love Joe Wicks, no shade on Joe Wicks, but all of his things was before and afters. It was so noisy this January, the weight loss chat.
Yeah.
And I found it was noisier than ever before.
It's coming back, I think.
Feels like it's coming back, and I am so determined to do everything I possibly can to turn the tide.
I will join you. I will join you in this fight.
Yeah, let's do it together. Yeah,
absolutely.
I really am not up for it. Like I just find it so sad. And even like when I went to a wellbeing festival this summer, it was like me and one other PT, and the PT who was talking about weight loss, the tent was packed, and I just thought, this is so sad, because you're just stuck in a toxic cycle. And let's think about this sensibly. If you are somebody who is clinically overweight, if you're going to exercise and you're going to look at, and you're going to eat well, and you're going to look after your nervous system, then your body will probably make shifts that are healthy for you. Like,
yes.
It's just the way you're going about it.
Yeah. And also, like, so people will naturally have different body sizes.
Yeah.
And some people will be built to be bigger.
Yes.
But they can be
very healthy. Very
fit, just not super skinny. And that for their frame would be healthier for them. So
I've done so many sessions with my members and said, I want you to think about a time where you were smaller, because we've got that picture, everyone looks at a picture and goes, oh, I was at my prime then, or whatever it might be. And I want you to really zone in and think about, were you at your happiness? And the answer is always no.
No. Yes.
Yeah.
I can relate so much. As a teenager, I was on the edge of anorexia, never really diagnosed, but definitely much too thin.
Yeah.
And that didn't bring me happiness.
No.
Actually, it took away my periods and made me worried I was going to be able to have children later in life. And it's
exactly. And I see that so often, and I just I'm absolutely determined that I'm not getting caught up in it.
Okay, great. I love it. We're stand together.
You will.
So
I'll be messaging you on Instagram. I'll be like, I'm so cross.
Yeah, that's great. I think in this podcast, that's very much going to be a focus as well.
That's
whenever I'm going to get nutritionists on, I'm just going to kind of say, hey, let's talk about health.
Yeah.
Not worried too much about the weight loss aspect.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
great.
Because like you said, if someone is really, really overweight, it happens anyway if you live healthily. But it's not the aim. The aim is to be active, to be fit, mobile,
and the
feel
changes
good.
that you make that way, that they'll last a lifetime.
Yeah.
Whilst the moment you start going and it's about calculating calories and things like that, it's all temporary. It doesn't, those things don't last. You can't live like that forever.
And thinking about our active 80-year-olds, I am, for a long time, I've been teaching also exercise classes to older adults.
Oh, right. Amazing.
And I love that so much. But so often an older adult, like someone over 65 or something, they come to me and say, but I want to lose weight around my tummy and things. And I say, please, don't focus on weight, focus on strength. Because I know in older ages, if we cut down calories, we're going to lose muscle mass.
Absolutely.
You need to hold on to muscle mass with however you can. So eat more, train more, and keep eating. So I'm like, don't focus on weight loss.
Language.
But anyway, so okay, we're very clear on that point. But before we finish talking today, because I know it's half term, busy. Can you tell me and all the listeners a little bit more about your fitness app? How people can sign up, where they can find you, and how they could get started from absolutely zero.
Yeah, sure. So the She Collective is based on an app. And so we have all of the resources that I talked about, we're based on the core four. So we have the workouts with me and other trainers. So there's lots of different types of discipline, bar, dance, kickboxing. I do all the strength training. And then we have very kind of like nutritional coaching rather than just about recipes. And that is a lot about women's relationships with food.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of, so it's mindset coaching with myself, but a lot around, and then those kind of small changes that we can make, like I was saying, to the bookends of your day and things like that. Mindset coaching, I do a mindset coaching every month, but then there's like, I don't know, God knows how many mindset coaching things on there. And then we also have like guest speakers. So we do things about style and it's all about your well-being. It's everything. It's the way that we see ourselves, the way that the world sees us, and then nervous system. And then we incorporate all those things into programs. So I like structure for beginners. So that's why our 30-day challenge is called Back to You, because it's about bringing it back to you. And then people progress onto the 6-week strength, which is about building strength foundations. And then they go on to Elevate. So we have a graduation ladder, which can sometimes sound a bit intimidating. But I always say with everyone who's just starting, start with Back to You, because it's such a like feasible way to get into it and set. It's all about setting people up for success, really. And it's all wrapped up in community, because that's what I'm about. I love it. Love it.
Fantastic. It sounds amazing. Well done for this amazing thing that you've created. And what's the website that people can go to?
Yeah, so confusingly, it is the She Collective, but it's wearetheshe.com.
All written out. We are the she in words.
Yeah, yes. We are the she, and it's the same with Instagram. We are the she. We _are the she. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, and I'll add that all in the show notes as well. So I hope our listeners are just going to give you a little look and see what's going on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it was so nice to have you on today. Loved it. I shall be sending you. Well, should be communicating on Instagram about our pet hate of the weight loss stuff. Like,
it's got really noisy at the moment about it also, yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep in touch. And
absolutely.
But for now, have a lovely rest of the half-term break.
Thank you so much.
So there we have it. My episode with Ro. How amazing is she? She is so inspirational, and I love her take on women's fitness so much. I'm really looking forward to doing some collaborations with her in the future. Me and her had a little chat afterwards. I was like, I want to do a yoga retreat with you. But yeah, that's beside the point. So I love Ro, and if you're interested, just have a little look at her website and check out what she's got. And I'm going to get going back to my baby, but it would be lovely if you could just give the podcast a like and a little rating. You can be honest, whatever you like. That will really help me to grow and reach more people. So for now, I wish you to have a lovely rest of your week, and I shall see you again next week. Bye.